Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another spectacular episode of the greatest spectacle to hit your computer screens on Tuesdays at the exact time. Well, we're a little late, little sick. It's normally at 6:30, but 6:31 today. Going by, loving life. I am the Rank King himself, Austin Moorhead, joined, of course, by Oracle Vo and Noble Knight Greg, and we have a special guest for tonight, Ryan. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks for having me. I told my brother earlier, I'm not sure if I'm offended or honored to be the Star Wars nerd you bring in, but I'm here. So it's there.
Hey, I'm happy that you're a Star Wars nerd. I like to think, we talked about this a little bit before, I like to think I'm a Star Wars nerd. People like to disprove my theories, but that's about everything. People just see this crown and they see the enemy.
You're just a nerd.
They're just stupid.
Yeah.
That is a fair statement, yes.
Grind Project said, "What's up, boys? I'm only here for Ryan, not Vo."
Hey, well, Grind Project.
Thank you for clarifying.
Let's put it this way. Grind Project, I'm glad that you're here. So I know that your work's got you busy, man. I understand. We all got them days. Got to make that bread. I understand it, dude. But yes, we are here. Another Tuesday in the books. Ryan, just so we can put on some perspective, last week our show was all about infomercials.
Okay.
It was wonderful. And my girlfriend gave me the idea. I said this is gonna suck, and it was raw. It was awesome. I should probably just
never doubt the queen.
Queen knows what she's doing. I should probably listen to her more. So I digress. But
yeah, I mean, I'm on a podcast too, and sometimes the topics that are like we think it's gonna be the stupidest turns out to be like our best.
Yeah,
like, we drafted top 5 letters of the alphabet one time, and it was electric.
oh, that's awesome.
I love it.
What,
I love it.
What was number one out of curiosity?
Well, I'd won one, and I went W because my last name's Wiederstam. One of my nicknames is Dub, so I had to go W. And you get a dub, you eat a dub like Jameis Winston. There's a lot of things with W. I don't know. It's near the end of the alphabet.
My mind. I was gonna say my mind would immediately go towards like Wheel of Fortune route, like probably RSTLNE to start.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I think end up getting. I think all of those got into being drafted anyways, but yeah,
Not a bad thing. I would go M personally because my last name, but you know, you switch the M to W for Wumbo, Wumboing. It's all around. People look it up in the dictionary. It's first grade. It's first grade.
Hit Wombos.
We all Wombo.
Comments in the chat. Chip, welcome. This is a friend. As Grind Project points out, it is Vo's sister's fiance.
So future brother.
Correct. 2 Ryans.
Ryan, how does it feel realizing that you're gonna have Vo as a brother soon?
I mean, I'm for it. I'm excited. I mean, I've been with his sister for the last like 7 years.
Yeah,
so
it's basically family already.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's only a little bit adjustment.
Yeah, but that's you choosing his sister. You didn't choose him though. That's the difference here.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm fine with it, at least for now. At least
The old argument.
For now.
It's the old argument of you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your friends' nose. There are some people that do both. Some people don't do either. Apparently, according to Chip, I don't have very many friends, so it's all in retrospective.
We can confirm. Yes, we can confirm.
I have friends.
I don't know. I saw there were people at Bamboo Bar for your birthday. Whether they're friends or just random people that you talk to, I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like $20 come in, pay, have a good time. But we got a good show to bring you guys today. A little bit part 2 because we discussed this a lot. I guess I should say part 3
Part
because
3, yeah.
On this. But before I get any further, Vo, where are you located? As you are alone.
Oh, this makes me so happy.
Do it. As Greg,
I could probably do. I could
Sorry.
probably do it from memory if you want, Vo.
Like, yeah, go for it. I'll fill in where you miss.
RankKing's Court is live today from Union Fitness Studios, located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh. Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It's a place where you can transform yourself inside and out, with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe that it's their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values, make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation. Through Union, there is strength.
That's probably one of the most impressive things I've seen.
That was
on
impressive.
Show. That was from all.
The amount of times I've read it, somehow it is now like stuck in my brain. So you're welcome.
I'm telling you, we just got to record it and just keep playing it all the time.
Insane.
Might as well, yeah.
Grind Project. I wasn't invited to Bamboo. That's on
me.
Ooh,
he wasn't.
I didn't listen. He's an older man than me. I understand them.
Wow, now you're calling out his age?
Hey, I get my age called out all the time. Sometimes I'm 28, sometimes I'm 75. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big gap, though, bud. Like we just consider Foreigner old. You're all over the fucking place.
Oh, so like
yeah, you're 75 now.
Yes.
You are getting much praise, Greg, both from Grind Project and Mama Whiten, and Chip just now. The ex-employee couldn't do. Did Chip it? You stop that. You're toxic.
No, the ex-employee who wrote the script couldn't remember how to do it when he filled in a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so I don't want to hear anything about my loyalty
already tonight, Chip. I don't know what's going on,
mm-hmm.
but yes, we got a wonderful show for you guys. This is all. With everything going on, this is Star Wars tonight. And I know we've done Star Wars, I think one of our very early episodes that we did. And then we brought Ping on to discuss everything about Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is essentially part 3 of a Star Wars talk that I am very, very excited for. I know Ryan is a big, big fan. Cue the X-Wing in the background and the This Is the Way Mandalorian shirt. I mean, Ryan, what does Star Wars mean to you, man? Like when you think of Star Wars, what comes to mind?
Well, so everyone when they're a kid, I know everyone when they're a kid had those movies where you'd stay home from school sick. Since you're a little kid, you keep watching the same movies over and over again. I know like Vo and his sister have weird ones like My Uncle the Alien and random ones that you watch.
We did watch some weird ones.
Yeah, Mac and Me and stuff like that.
Yep.
But for me, it was always the original trilogy in Star Wars. And so like, I don't know, like I've been a huge fan since I was little. My dad had them because he saw them live when they first came out, but then he liked them, but he didn't really, really love them like I did. And I kind of just took it and ran with it. So I don't know, Star Wars. When I was 20 years old, I went to Disney World. I met an actor in a Chewbacca costume, and I was the most excited I've ever been in my life. I was like, wait, I'm 20. What am I doing? How am I this excited? It's weird. But like, it's a Star Wars. Anything Star Wars gets me all excited, hyped up.
Hey, I appreciate
Also, I just need to point out real quick too, just to give a perception about how terrible of taste Vo has. Mac and Me is considered one of the worst movies ever. On almost any list that you look up, Mac and Me is considered one of the worst films that was ever made.
We watched it recently, though.
Paul Rudd showing Mac and Me clip on the best part about it. That's like the only thing people know about Mac and Me.
Prime Project points out in the chat, that's how my dad was too. My brother and I gravitated to it way more. It was my mom that was actually into Star Wars because my dad is the absolute worst at anything if it's not a Jason Bourne, Liam Neeson action film. He gravitated way away from the sci-fi stuff, and it was more my mom's taste. I had the original trilogy. I found it one day in my closet on the original like VHS collection that I had with I remember because Darth Vader's face was on the A New Hope. Oh wow, this is gonna bug me now. I want to say I don't remember who was on The Empire Strikes Back, but I remember Jabba the Hutt was on Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Thank you. Yeah. Maybe it was. It couldn't have been Boba. Damn.
I was gonna say Boba.
Yeah, I don't know if that's right or not, because maybe it's Yoda. Maybe it's Yoda. I think it might be Yoda.
Well, which one? Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
I was gonna say because Yoda didn't debut.
Yeah,
in
Yoda's
New
on
Hope,
there.
So Yoda would have. Yeah, so
Let's
Yoda would
go.
have been
Let's
Empire Strikes
go.
Back.
But that was my first interaction to Star Wars, was finding that box set. And it was not too long later that I wish I had the privilege of seeing this in theaters, but I ended up seeing episode 1 for the first time on DVD. And then I was like, whoa, my brain was like, because I didn't know that these were connected at all. This is like very young me. And I was like, wait, that young kid has the same name as, wait a minute, how is this? And it spun there. And I was like, and I told my mom, and she's like, yeah, what are you, fucking idiot? Like, of course they're connected.
Well, I mean, what, you're 7, 8 years old at the time when episode 1 is
a-
released, so I'm not surprised you're not aware of what prequels are.
I am a young lad at this point. And prequels could have been a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. But I digress. We'll get into that and everything going on. I'm very, very excited for this. I know Ryan is. I know, Vo hasn't seen them, so it's fine.
I tried.
let's get right
I
into-
did try.
You tried.
I watched half an hour of one.
It's
I
gonna
was
be
like,
like
no.
Pokemon again. Because
Basically.
I know Pokemon. He didn't know anything. He kept texting me and saying, "What do you think about this?" I'm a big
Yeah, you should have seen
Basically.
him.
Oh, Jesus.
The Digimon episode. Oh my god, it was hilarious. He was just like, I don't know what this is. I don't think anybody.
This is what happens
Pretty
when
much
you do
half
nothing but
the
go outside,
episodes are
apparently.
done.
But I'm very, very excited, guys. Let's get into it. Radical ranking number 1. All right, guys. Radical ranking number 1 for Star Wars Part 2. We're doing the top Star Wars TV shows. This is going to get messy right from the start because there's so, with Disney's exclusive rights and everything that they've been
Exclusion? Is that what you were trying to say?
doing. I said exclusive, but I meant to say exclusive, said exclusive. Apologies. I don't think this Voodoo 1985 is hitting me yet. Oh well. But we're going into it. These are my personal opinions. I understand if you think they're wrong. I'm right. Shut up. This is how it is. We'll see what the expert gives his advice on, so to speak. Because I know there's going to be one in there that's going to like ruffle some people's feathers. I'll explain when we get there. But let us start with number 5. One of the most interesting Star Wars adaptations I've ever seen. And they were all different. This is number 5, Star Wars Visions. For those that do not know, this is a collection. Yeah, I know. Shut up. You can put your hand down. I know you didn't know this. This is a collection of various different, I guess, like creators that make their own little animated shorts. And when I say animated, I mean anime, like straight up Star Wars anime. So this was 2 of my likes coming together as one. There's multiple stories that were impressive in here. I know if you guys are on TikTok, there's always the sound of, it's been a while since I've killed a Jedi, and it finds out that the lightsaber is not a Jedi color, it is red, and it is a former Sith and a now Sith battling in this, what looks like little hut area of all these different like people. It is like this. There's this one. I mean, Ryan, go into detail because I know that you know this one because you gave me the little like.
Well, actually, this is maybe the one thing of Star Wars I never saw because I
really
as big as a Star Wars nerd, I'm a nerd in general. I can't stand anime. I don't know why. It's just a style of anime I can't stand. So the guy I do my podcast with, he loves it. So he watched it and he loved it. And he told me all about it. And I was like, see, that all sounds cool. I just can't wrap my head around like the anime part of it.
It's very tough.
It's one thing in my head I can't get over is I don't like the style of anime. But I did hear it's amazing. And I gave you a little head nod because it's like, of course, it starts. I claim I'm this big Star Wars nerd. And of course, he starts with the one thing I never saw. That's like the only Star Wars property I never saw.
It's very interesting because this is essentially just, let me give you a retrospective. If you've ever seen, which I know I'm not including, maybe Bo's seen this, I don't know, but maybe Greg. I know Josh has seen this because I went and after we did that pizza thing, we ended up watching a thing on Netflix known as Love, Death, and Robots.
That's what I was gonna ask, because the way that you made it seem like, where it's different animators, that's what it sounds like.
It's 100% like that, Greg. It's 100% like that. They're all uniquely different stories. You go from one where I was talking about to the next one where it is a band that's trying to audition for the Cantina, and Boba Fett and everyone starts causing trouble within the Cantina, and they have to find their way out. There's one where it's all based on a pilot and trying to overcome PTSD, I think. It's very, very good. I would advise. Now, Ryan, I know that you're not into the best of anime. It is hilarious because you and Bo are very, very similar. I did an Attack on Titan episode a while back, and I said, Bo, this is the show for you to watch. And I think Bo made it through 3 episodes before he's like,
it was like 3 or 4. Yeah.
I said, you got to give it a chance, man.
Yeah, no, my buddy told me that too. But every football season, me and my buddy do like pick 'em throughout the whole year. We keep stats on it. Whoever wins at the end of the season, loser has to do a punishment. He's never won, so I've been coming up with all these different punishments. But he did tell me this last year that if he ever wins, his punishment's gonna be making me watch an anime and every week he's gonna quiz me on, so I know that I'm actually watching it. And I said I'd rather just put the ball.
That is 100% hilarious.
Yeah.
I want to use that now, but I won't.
Don't give him ideas.
There's some good anime out there, though, man. Like, I swear to you, there is.
Oh, no. And he told me there's so many things he knows I like because me and him have very, like, nerdy styles. Like, we like the same stuff. It's just, I don't know why. It's just, like, I don't want to say it's just, like, the style because I keep saying that, but, like, I just feel like it's very cringy sometimes. All animes, they do like a weird like hand behind the head, like sigh, like laugh, and I just said this is I'm out on this. It's like very weird and cringy. My screen crawls sometimes, and it's just all of anime.
It is,
yeah, watch Attack on Titan.
I'm sure that
the Titans were just
one of the best
weird.
anime. Yeah, I hate you. All right, well then let's move on. Like I said, I encourage you to watch it, Ryan. It is phenomenal. Even if you're not, if you just forget that they're anime and just imagine the stories that go along with it and how creative everything is. It is a wonderful outlet, like it almost if Love, Death and Robots meets Marvel's What If. Like it's very, very good.
Great, but yeah, no, I if I have to watch anime, it would probably be that one.
Yeah, I would say. Number 4, one that I would say I watched one, and then this was the second one I watched because it was another Disney, one of the first developed. This is Star Wars Rebels. I love this. I was nervous originally because these were all new characters that I had no idea what it was about. It takes place after the Empire or during the Empire's galactic conquest, so to speak, of how everything is put on. You meet such characters. Ezra is one of my all-time. I love the character of Ezra. I know he's like the young, like kind of like penile Jedi, kind of, if that's a word. I don't know if that's right. And this introduces kind of, you meet so many different like characters that I never thought would be in the same show. Darth Vader and Darth Maul.
Yep.
In the same show. They never interact, which pisses me off because I would want to see that so bad. But you have also the return of Ahsoka in this, and it's all one of my all-time favorite scenes in Star Wars when they are at the Sith holocron trying to collect and escape from the Inquisitors, and you have the reuniting and showdown of Ahsoka versus Darth Vader, and it is beautiful. The music plays in the background. Everything's very high tension, and we'll get to this in another thing, but Ahsoka ends up cutting a piece of Vader's helmet off to reveal Anakin's face underneath. And the line that I will never forget from this show was Ahsoka saying, "I won't leave you, not this time." You have Anakin that's breathing, and then all you hear is, "Then you will die." And then the lightsaber ignites, and I said, "Oh shit!" Like, this is nuts. The main, obviously, for this, the Grand Inquisitor, the Inquisitors themselves, not really talked about a lot. I mean, more in Star Wars lore than more of the movies and everything. I thought were so unique because they were former Jedi or trained like babies that were captured that had force sensitive powers that were eventually trained to become essentially dark henchmen to Vader. Their lightsabers were insane. They would rotate into like these little, they would escape by putting them in the air and riding them off like little helicopters, which I thought that, I don't know the quantum physics of that, but it is an interesting thing
Sounds
to
pretty cool.
divulge into. Oh, it's nuts. It's a very wonderful show. Ryan, give your thoughts on it real quick before I move on to the next one.
Rebels is amazing. I with another show I'm sure you're gonna mention here soon, another animated show. There's always some episodes that are like you have to remind yourself this is a kid show. But before I watched Rebels, I found on Reddit like a whole guide of like, all right, this episode is like a kid's episode. You can skip this episode. And I watched it the first way like that, then watch it back regularly like, many times after. I love it. You're talking about bringing some characters back and not characters being like in the same show that you never thought. The return of Captain Rex was great. And then like I never thought I'd see Captain Rex and like a Lando Calrissian in the same show, but there's a Lando episode in Rebels. Thrawn is one of the greatest villains in Star Wars.
Yes.
And I'm very excited watching all these new live action shows coming out, and Ahsoka going to come out soon. I'm really hoping we see Ezra and Thrawn come back, because at the end of Rebels, it's very like, obviously the end of Rebels, not to spoil the show, but they go trying to find Ezra because Ezra and Thrawn disappear, and they like Sabine and this Ahsoka start this whole like journey to find them, and I feel like that's what's going to happen in the show Ahsoka, is they're going to be looking for Ezra the entire show.
It's really funny that we talk about this, and the leak of the Ahsoka trailer was leaked today. I tried to find it, couldn't. They like scrapped that real quick for anyone trying to find it. All I've known is that Darth Maul 100% returns in this live action show. There were shots of what appeared to be Darth Maul in fighting Ahsoka. So I'm very, very excited to see if they're bringing back what's his name that did the voice, or the original guy that did in episode 1. I want to see this so bad. I'm very, very excited. This is where it gets controversial, because if I was going off pure recent bias, this would be number 1. But I had to tune it back because I know that it had some problems. More solutions than problems, and that's why number 3 for me is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I agree with that, honestly.
This is a new one.
This is the latest one. It started, I believe, in May, at the end of May. It had 2 episode premiere. So already, after those, you were already a third of the way done with the show, which boggled my mind.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes, I know, right? There were definitely some discrepancies with this show. We all watched this basically for the return of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen as Anakin/Darth Vader. You had some minor things here and there. I didn't think the Reva character was as bad as a lot of people played it out to be. I'm just saying that the show could have happened without her. And I digress, because in the show, you actually have a live representation of the Grand Inquisitor. And I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing. He's like one of the all-time bads in the Star Wars universe next to Vader. And to develop Reva's character a little bit more, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, you know this show, spoiler alert if you're watching, Reva ends up supposedly killing the Grand Inquisitor in episode 2. And my jaw dropped when that happened. And I said, why? What is happening? like I get it. Let's put it this way. She doesn't develop any character elements until episode 5. Right? Almost as the show is done. And I know, like, they tried to make her out for a period that, for anyone who has ever played Star Wars The Fallen Order, I can't remember what the actor was. He was on Shameless, plays this Jedi, and they have the second sister who they try to almost make Reva appear to be. Kind of just doesn't work for me, but I understand. The CGI was a little wonky from time to time in this show. Like, it wasn't 100% great. And Luke is almost forgotten in this show until you literally see him in episode 1, and then we see him again in episode 6. And it's weird because this whole time I'm like, I just want to see Obi-Wan and Vader absolutely tear each other apart. Like, how is a Vader that's younger going to master? I mean, this series takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So 10 years after that monumental battle, Obi-Wan is in hiding, almost like a meat packer, I would say, on Tatooine, watching over Luke and the family. The Grand Inquisitors are looking for him. But when Vader hits the screen, holy shit. Like, almost every scene that Hayden Christensen is in, I absolutely love in this entire thing. We have moments of the first time we see Vader find out that Obi-Wan is alive and on Tatooine. He basically comes and tries to lure Obi-Wan out. He uses the Force on a mom. And I shit you not, guys, he uses the Force to snap the neck of the young kid that is going after that. Like, Vader is an absolute savage.
He's not messing around.
No. And, you know, we love to make fun of, like, what happens after in episode 7, 8, 9 of, like, for instance, Kylo Ren and Rey buying control with the Force over one ship, the one tiny ship. Vader in episode 5 comes in with a giant ship that's escaping. No effort, goes like this, the ship stops. No effort. Throws it down, tears it apart. It's unreal just how incredible this was. And naturally, in the first fight, Obi-Wan gets his ass kicked by Vader, even to the point where he's dragged through fire to simulate the burning of Anakin.
I do want to point this out that, I mean, technically, Anakin was deemed as the chosen one, so it would make sense for him to also probably be the most powerful person that can wield the Force to a degree. So therefore, I'm not surprised that he has such strong powers, regardless of which side of the Force he can be on, as compared to anyone else who attempted with it.
True, but it's just the sight of it. Like, you see it, and I was like, oh, I was like jumping up and down, like freaking.
You got giddy at the sight of a kid getting his neck snapped.
Very, very
for you.
It's a little messed up there, Austin.
Listen, I'm saying. And I'll piggyback with this real quick because I know I'm dragging through this. I want Ryan's opinion. Episode 6 is by far one of the most satisfying finales to a show that I've watched in quite some time. Obi-Wan has regained his confidence and his strength. He's fighting Vader on this desolate planet. And just like the fight with Ahsoka, all I wanted was from this show was for Obi-Wan to slice off a piece of Vader's helmet to reveal Anakin. And that's exactly what happened. And it is nuts. You get to see Anakin's face. It's, dare I say, deranged. Like, it is scary. Basically, this wholehearted confession, I'm not going to lie, teared me up a little bit. Obi-Wan basically confessing that he's sorry that all of this has happened to him. And Vader, Anakin literally goes, I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. And it was just like,
shit.
And it's there that Obi-Wan finally realizes all of the guilt. Because in episode 1, there's multiple flashes of PTSD that Obi-Wan is experiencing still to this day, 10 years later, of that fight with Anakin and how he let Anakin down and he became this. Well, he didn't even know he was alive at that point until episode 2 when Reva drops the ball that Anakin is still alive. So Obi-Wan is convinced that he's dead at this point. So when he is revealed to be alive, it is. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. This show just had me through a loop. It had its problems. Ryan, I want your opinions. Go.
I liked the show a lot. I didn't think it was anything like. I mean, I thought it was really, really good, and I think that fight scene you're talking about was amazing. And the fight scene on the Grand Inquisitor's like underground thing, basically from Fallen Order, with Cal Kestis going to do the same thing. But I really liked that episode. I really liked the episode 3 of him snapping kids' necks and burning Obi-Wan alive. The only thing I really didn't like, I feel like there was a lot of, I feel like there's just something missing from it. I don't know what. I really, really liked it, and I do think it's good at number 3. I lay out, like you mentioned, him cutting off half of Vader's mask, the opposite end side that Ahsoka cut off. Ahsoka cut the left side, Obi-Wan cut the right side. Luke's the only one to take the mask fully off in Return of the Jedi. Just a note. And the only thing I didn't like about the finale is I feel like the Qui-Gon cameo at the end, I loved it. I wanted him in it, but I feel like that was like thrown in at the last second. Oh yeah, we forgot that he was trying to taunt Qui-Gon this whole time. Let's throw like right after the hello there, which is perfect. Let's throw in Liam Neeson for like a split second, and we'll joke like, "Oh, I've always been here." I wish whenever he was getting pummeled by the rocks in episode 6, where like Leia, he saw visions of Leia and Luke because he had to stay alive for them. I wish you heard like Liam Neeson's voice there, and then showed him they showed Liam Neeson's like, "Come on, everyone, you got to do this," or something like that. Give him time and wisdom to get out of that situation. Then you show him at the end. I thought that'd been a little bit more satisfying, but I do really like the show a lot still.
Yeah, it is very interesting because, as you point out, the episode very well could have ended after that hello there, which is where I thought it was ending. And then they show the scene, and I was, listen, you might not, I was like jumping for joy. I said, holy shit, it's Qui-Gon Jinn. Like literally not looking like a day has aged since he got stabbed by Maul. And it was just so nice to see that interaction. But you're right, it could have happened a lot easier and a lot quicker, maybe through vocals like we did with Rise of Skywalker, when you have all of the Jedi that are talking through Rey's head instead of. But I think that they obviously played at the end for showmanship to the fans that have wanted to see Qui-Gon. I know that we rambled for a good bit of that, but I love this show. I still couldn't put it at 1 though. Couldn't even put it at 2 because in my mind, number 2 is 100%. This might be where it gets a little messy. I don't know. Number 2 for me is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is like the all-time like animated show. Now, granted, there was an animated movie that happened. This is what takes place after it. But the amount of adventures you see, the different battle scenarios, you actually see an episode where Anakin turns evil at one point through knowing the future, which is the craziest thing. He's like taming gods. And like those two and Rise of Skywalker couldn't like move a ship, and he's taming 2 gods. It's insane. Just various bounty hunters show up. Cad Bane, obviously, he makes an appearance in another show. It's just everything about this was exactly what Star Wars needed. And I always say I would love a live adaptation of this. I don't know how they would ever do it, but the animated portion of this is always incredible. Obviously, the last season was put on Disney Plus when it originally started. So the final season of the Clone Wars was insane. We saw Maul come back and fight off with Ahsoka. I thought that was amazing. We got to see the turning events of Order 66, something that I thought I'd never see in the Clone Wars at all. How the clones were manipulated and everything through chips in their head. Just absolute insanity. This is a lot of people's number 1. So
yeah,
I'll let
Ryan
Ryan.
Project said he thought it was going to be your number 1.
I know, believe me. Ryan, take it from here. Star Wars Clone Wars, is it 1 for you? And if so, why?
Not number 1. I would put this number 2 as well, because I think I know what your number 1 is going to be, and I would agree with it. If it's not, then I'll say something. But no, Clone Wars is great. That whole last season was fantastic. One other note about it, really, we all have to kind of bow our heads to Dave Filoni, who did Clone Wars and Rebels, and he's helping Favreau with all the live action shows now, created Ahsoka. He's a fellow Yinzer. He's from Pittsburgh. Not a lot of people know that. He's a cowboy wearing Yinzer. Yeah, he's I think he's from the South Hill somewhere. So like that's sick that like George Lucas, like basically he sat down George Lucas told him all this stuff that he wants to do these characters, and so he did the show. And then obviously Favreau brought him back because he's cool with George Lucas. I wish they would have let Filoni and Favreau take over the sequel trilogy because Kathleen Kennedy butchered that. But I think Clone Wars for me made me like the prequel movies better. So I watched the prequel movies. I didn't really care about them. I was like, all right, these are Star Wars. I loved Revenge of the Sith always, but Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace were like just too awful movies in my opinion. And then I watched Clone Wars. I got to see more of these characters doing fun, cool stuff. Even like the Jedi's on the council that you'd never hear from, like Plo Koon and all this stuff, who have sweet arcs in the show.
Keanu Mundu and all those.
Mundu, yeah. So like it made me appreciate the characters that you saw in these crappy movies better, which made me like them better.
All I thought about that was, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
Oh yeah.
And he's from Mount Lebanon.
I didn't say Mount Lebo, but I didn't want to just throw it out there just in case.
There are a lot of good moments from this show that we got to see kind of into something that I never thought I'd see, because the Jedi Code is always preached on not having any love or relationships, and we get to see that Obi-Wan almost left the Jedi Order at one point.
Not just a teen.
Yep, for a fellow Mandalorian. Nonetheless, it was absolutely nuts. And we get to see kind of him and Anakin kind of have that similarity almost, but like obviously it's never found out until episode 3. But and number 1, this is by far no question, in my honest opinion, it is The Mandalorian. It is by far the show that made me. There are times where I will watch Star Wars and I will unfortunately forget about it at one point, and then something like this brings it back. A show where normally you would think, in terms of Star Wars, is cool with the Force and lightsabers, and this kind of ties into another movie that made it so great for me. You got to see everything without that, essentially, until, like, spoilers, one of the last episodes of the first season. But Rogue One is still, in my honest opinion, one of the greatest Star Wars films, and you barely see a lightsaber in it. You get to see all these different tactics and creative ways that this is going. The character of Mando is by far, with his connection to Grogu, or Baby Yoda in this sense, for those that don't know the name, is one of the most heartwarming things I've seen in Star Wars anything for a long period of time. I really just wanted him to transform into Yoda and do an actual lightsaber thing at one point, but I digress. The show was amazing, and it gave the premise that Star Wars is more than the Force. It's more than lightsaber battles. It is about generally everything put into sci-fi perspective, and I loved it. I know, Ryan, I know you got the shirt on. I won't ramble anymore. Please divulge, because I have a feeling this was also your number 1. I could be wrong, but go into it.
Yeah, no, I would have had this number 1 too. That's what I said. There's only one show that could be number 1 over Clone Wars, and it's this. I think the biggest strength of this show compared to the other shows is it got a lot of people who aren't into Star Wars into like the Mandalorian.
Right.
In season 1, they like focus on like kind of like its own thing. You don't need to know Star Wars to know this. And then after season 2, after they started picking up like, okay, people are liking this, they start sprinkling in stuff like Bo-Katan and the Darksaber at the end of the first season. You get Boba Fett in the second season, Fennec Shand from the shows. There's a lot of like, they start introducing like the characters from the TV shows into the show because they knew people liked it. And I thought that was a great strategy. I thought it was a good idea that a lot of people got into Star Wars because of this. And now they're going back and watching stuff.
And because of Baby Yoda.
And Baby Yoda
he stole the show.
Yeah, Baby Yoda brought all the women in for the Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
They brought all the women.
It's great. But then other than that though, I think even like the 3 episodes or 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett that has Mandalorian, basically episode 1 and 2 of season 3. It was great. The Luke reveal at the end of season 2 was like one of the greatest scenes ever.
Yes.
I watched a TikTok where they put "I Need a Hero" over top of that scene, and I almost I remember I was laying in bed before I had to work in the morning, watching the last episode, and whenever I saw the X-wing pull up outside of the ship, I got up out of my bed and stood up and like looked over my laptop, like very like, I'm on, this better be him. Then when I saw the green lightsaber going through, I was like, all right, this is sick, and I like started jumping up and down. It was great.
The line was beautiful. It was, they called out for help, and it was like, oh, we have one single X-wing. Oh, that'll be help. And I'm like, this has to be him. Like this is insane. And the amount of digital reconstruction that they did CGI wise for Luke Skywalker's young face with Mark Hamill was just beautiful. I thought that it was really him. Like, it was absolutely insane. Couple honorable mentions. Obviously, Book of Boba Fett was one. I didn't think it was the greatest, but it had some messy parts. I think that it was nice for people that have always read the lore that Boba Fett survived his encounter in episode 6, and they wanted more of that. I would have been fine with I was clamoring for an origin movie with Boba Fett. All I want now is an origin Darth Maul movie. That's all I want, and I'll be happy. The Bad Batch, another one that I've gotten recently into, which we are introduced in the Clone Wars, which gave rise to why the Bad Batch deserved its own TV show and how it's good. And let's not forget for the old heads out there, the 2 to 3 minute episodes of the retro Star Wars that you would watch on Cartoon Network at about 10 o'clock at night for 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, and they were all different Clone Wars battles in that old cartoon sense. I loved every single aspect of it. I was always paying attention. We also found which I found was very, very interesting for those that didn't know. Ryan, you probably know, but Grievous in episode 3, we are wondering, he's somewhat organic, but why is he coughing? That's kind of weird. And there's an end scene at the final episode where Mace Windu force chokes his almost respirator to the point where then he starts wheezing because he didn't have any breathing problems, didn't wheeze or anything. And that's how we found out. And I said, damn, that's clever. Damn, that's good. I was like, that makes so much more sense than a coughing robot. Now we know why it's happening. That's amazing.
Yeah. That was the style of like Samurai Jack, wasn't it?
It was.
Those were good. Those were I like those a lot. I watched like the Ventress like fight scene on like the treetops. I forget what that episode. I think it's her versus Mace, maybe. I forget. But
yes. The lightsaber duel between Anakin and Asajj Ventress was amazing because we get to see Anakin pick up one of the red blades and basically strike at hers until the cliff crumbled, and you just saw this scream from him afterward, and just all of the Jedi Masters feeling this dark tension that was near. Which, if they felt it then, there's something's wrong. But it's storytelling, so it's fine.
Hey Austin, we have a karaoke time / impression time for Jabba the Hutt.
Is that from Denny?
It's from Chip.
Oh, Chip! Okay, all right. Okay. Hold on, I gotta make my voice.
It's gonna be good.
Oh yeah, Bobby. Oh yeah, Bob. Corgi the body here, Corgi the Baba.
That's the best I got.
That was really good. That was really good.
Don't ask me to translate it. I don't know what the hell it means. So it's all off the top of my head. Those are, in my opinion, the top 5 Star Wars shows. We got a lot more we got to talk about, so let's not waste any time. Radical ranking, number 2. I don't exactly remember if I had this on the first Star Wars episode that we did. I know that it may have crept it to one of the top 10s that I did. But these are, in my opinion, the top 5 Star Wars lightsaber duels.
Hey, you got good comments on your impression there.
Oh,
There's
I was
4.
gonna say, you sound like you have some like acid reflux building up from having to do that voice. You okay?
Probably what it was. All I'm missing is like the little monkey thing and a bikini Leia, but I'm not gonna get into that.
And even my mom commented. My mom's watching right now.
Hey, Mama, look at that!
I'm Mavo.
I am very, very excited for this. I think it's going to be very, very controversial in a way.
Wait, before you go.
Oh, God dang
Another impression. Darth Vader.
I'll just take out my inhaler. That's an easy one. I'll just do. The Force is strong with this one.
Oh yeah, that's James Earl Jones, all right.
Listen, before I even watched the show, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, I was really nervous if James Earl Jones was coming back to play the voice, because I know that Hayden Christensen, James Earl Jones is 90 some years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still doing, like, they're going to run out. They better have recordings of him, because when he, like, goes, it's going to be a rough time for the Star Wars universe. But to me, the top 5 lightsaber duels, since we're talking about it, it is the latest one that I've seen coming to us from Obi-Wan Kenobi. I talked about this. This is the second bout of Obi-Wan Kenobi facing off against Darth Vader in episode 6. This was a very, very emotional one for me, because we have the guilt of Obi-Wan trying to find his will and strength back as a Jedi Master. The effects in this fight are insane. You have at one point Obi-Wan looking like a literal god, just holding his arms like up like this, and there's mountains of like just rocks that he's lifting and just throwing them at Vader. And it's honestly, I think, the first time that I've seen Darth Vader use a lightsaber with 2 hands. I'm not exactly sure, but most of the stuff recently has had him using just 1 hand, looking like a boss. He might have done it in episode 5 and 6, maybe even episode 4 when he faced off against Ben. But for me, in the recent, having Vader just using 1 hand, it was an interesting thing to see. And then obviously, like I've said, we have the mask cut off, and it is essentially one of the most tension-gripping, like tear-jerking experiences between what was Anakin Skywalker and is now Darth Vader against Obi-Wan, essentially confessing all that he's done, and Vader saying, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." And nothing was more relieving than Obi-Wan in his last line going, "Goodbye, Darth." Like, he finally refers to him as Darth Vader and not Anakin. And it is so fulfilling. I know this picture, it was a hard time trying to find a picture for the second fight. This is their first one, but it is, the first one was nuts too, but yeah, that was more just Obi-Wan getting his ass kicked. Number 4, Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker, episode 6. In the Return of the Jedi. This, for me, was like the gripping moment. We feel the conflict in Vader of wanting to be still on the dark side, knowing that his son is alive and wanting him to come towards the light. It's really funny, actually, from the Rise of Skywalker, when Force healing is introduced. Anakin could have just learned that, and this whole shit wouldn't have happened. But naturally, they pull that at the end. And then we see Luke almost come to the dark side in a sense, where he essentially chops off Vader's hand after Vader threatened Leia to turn to the dark side. And we see Luke realizing, cut Vader's hand off. His hand was cut off in episode 5. He throws down the lightsaber. He gets absolutely thunderstruck, written by Palpatine. And then we finally have Vader picking up Palpatine and throwing him into the Death Star hole. And eventually we have the unmasking of Vader fully. And it was a great sight to see. Not people would know, but the original movies actually had the elder actor that played Anakin come back as the Force Ghost. Now you see it where it's Hayden Christensen coming back. All I'm saying is, if he's getting into that, he's got to find all these younglings that he slaughtered and absolutely apologize for.
Yeah.
There is a TikTok, I don't know if you guys have known, but these guys at a bar, and it's just Revenge of the Sith is on. And it's the scene where it's like, there are too many of them. What are we going to do? And the guys are just, kill those kids! Kill those kids! It's just like, oh, this is terrible. This is awful. Like, go on to the next one. But for me, I think there are better fights, not as impactful, but I'll get to that. Let's go on to number 3, the introduction of the fast-paced lightsaber battles. This is Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul. This is a lot of people's 1 or 2, and I get it. I 100% get it. From the fight scenes of just in the original trilogy of just going like to flipping, like just jumping all over the place. Duel of the Fates is still one of my all-time favorite soundtracks to a battle, let alone a Star Wars film. At some point we knew that Qui-Gon was going to get struck down, which helped, Obi-Wan. I kind of wish that Obi-Wan would have stuck with the green lightsaber from Qui-Gon, so that's another impact that we're going to get into. And then we have Obi-Wan striking down Darth Maul, seemingly cutting him in half. And then in Clone Wars, he's brought back, and I'm like, okay, the writers, they need something. This is what I'm getting. It is the movie itself is trash. It's hot garbage, and this lightsaber fight couldn't save it from being one of the worst ones, but it was 100% one of my all-time favorite lightsaber fights. Ryan, you look conflicted when I put it at 3. Is this a confliction of it being too low or it being too high?
Too low. I think it's 1 or 2.
I guess I get it.
I'm curious to see. I think I know one of your next 2. I don't know the other one. I want to see. I have a couple ideas, but I would put this at 1 or 2.
So I feel like you'll know my 1. My number 2 is what's going to throw a lot of people off, and that is Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. Okay. You have Luke that is slowly learning the ways of the Jedi, realizing his friends are in trouble, goes off to fight Vader on his own. The monologuing, the absolute slaughter that Vader is attempting to put on to Luke in this is almost hard to watch at some points. You're like, why doesn't he just put this guy down? All the way to flying out into the desolate area of the Bespin portal and getting his hand cut off, and then finally the reveal that Darth Vader is in fact Luke's father. I have watched countless
Well, that's a spoiler
times.
alert.
Oh, sorry. Oh no. I'll take it from Pitch Perfect. Vader in German literally means father. I'll just say that. So if you're not a German head, I understand that. But I have watched countless times the theatrical reaction of people that are seeing this for the first time, and their reactions of what? No. And because that's exactly what happened to me watching it for the first time. I lost all my marbles. I said, there's no way. He was a spice freighter guy. Like he was a Jedi. And then turns out that he's his father, and it literally blows people's minds. I think that adds a lot to the feel of this fight, where he doesn't want to necessarily kill him, and that's what's holding him back. He wants him to turn. He wants him to regain that power so they can take on the Emperor and kill him, because the Sith, there's always just the rule of 2. It's how it always is. I don't understand that. Why not just have a bunch of Sith fight off against each other? But I get it. This was the surprise to you, Ryan, I'm assuming. Yes. Like, is this shocking? Is it like, I can see it now? Like, what's going through your head?
I think it's top 5. I still think the other one should be higher than this one. Maybe just flip these 2 because I know your number 1 is going to be, and I agree with that. I'd say this 3 is fine. I think it's the biggest plot twist in movie history. Fun fact about that, I don't know where I heard this. You can fact check me. I might be wrong, but no one knew. The script didn't say I'm your father. The script said I killed your father. And no one knew. Then right before they went filming, they pulled Mark Hamill aside and said, guess what? He's actually going to say I'm your father. And the actor standing in to even say that, it's just right before they went on, they said James Earl Jones is going to say I'm your father, not I killed your father, just so you get more of like an actual reaction from him. So they didn't tell him to the last second. Yeah, I forget where I heard that.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I would say don't fact check it because I'd rather that be true than you look at it. Yeah,
I'm okay if we just make that like
you could retcon history.
Forward, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
retcon that for history.
Got it. And then number one, to no one's surprise, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It is the most choreographed lightsaber fight I've ever seen. It makes almost the new ones look of shame. Although the Obi-Wan Kenobi did its job, the series did its job of the fights. They were really, really good. No lightsaber fight compares to this one. The animosity, the stakes that are put into place, the feeling of two former best friends just trying to kill each other at this point. Like, it is as hot as the ember on Mustafar, I'd say. I mean, it's hot. It is nuts.
Foreigner agrees with this one.
You're really
Yeah,
proud of yourself for that one, huh?
Lego Star Wars has taught me one thing: to remember the planets. But they do key in for Obi-Wan Kenobi that Vader's home base is on Mustafar for a long period of time, which I thought was the craziest thing, as to going back to the place where you almost died and making that your Salem ground. Holy shit, that's badass. I don't think anyone would disagree with this. A lot of people, this would be 1, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Maul would be 2. I just have a better sense of the stakes and the eventual emotion that is put through in the second one. So I do love them all.
Chip said Yoda's fight with the ugly guy wasn't bad.
I've waited a long time for this moment. There's a free one for you.
No freebies.
Do it. What we're going to do now is, it is time now for the great debate. Great debate is very simple, gentlemen. Based on personality, not wanting to be, based on personality and where you come through in your life, light or dark side? Like, do you feel like you're more of a Jedi, or do you feel like you're more of a Sith? Because all the times of these quizzes that come up, at one point, I will say that I got Mace Windu at one point, who was both light and dark to an extent. And I said, okay, but which one am I? Like, I don't know. So Grind Project, who is in the chat, should have decided the order for us.
He did.
Reveal the random name generator again. So
Foreigner says Ryan, Austin, Vo, Greg.
Okay. So based on personality, Ryan, do you feel like you're more of a Jedi, or do you feel like you're more of a Sith?
This is very tough. I feel like I want to take the cop-out answer. I'm a mixture of both. If I'm any type of Sith, I have to go Sith. I think I'm a nice guy. I feel like I live very much from like a normal day, very much light side. But like for a while there in college, I played rugby for 6 years from high school and college, and I had to channel the anger. I had to do all this stuff where I think I can get very aggressive if I need to. I can definitely channel the dark side. And I feel like I can't claim to be light side if I have any bit of doubt in my mind that I would be Sith. Once again, I think every day I'm a light side guy, but the fact that every once in a while I'll get the yellow eyes and the dark side will come out, I have to get dark side.
Dark side, I appreciate it. This is tough for me because, like I said, I was Mace when I got it, so I didn't know which one I was. I'd like to think I'm more Sith, and here's the reason why. I like to feel that on the surface, I'm a very love-funding guy. I don't cross anybody. I hold my own toes as they are. However, I am very petty when I am crossed. I feel like I can't there are times where I feel like I can't let stuff go. And that is the anger of hatred that the Sith depend on. It's their rage. And honestly, I think, like, especially working out or anything, I feel like I'm a lot better when I'm mad than I am when I'm just, looking, nice sunny day. It's not for me. In my honest opinion, I feel like I'm more Sith.
And just like to add for you too, you do a show where you're very absolute about what you put, and Sith only deals with absolutes. So if you
Only
put
a Sith deals in
Yeah,
absolutes.
so with all your rankings, you have to be.
Exactly.
Yep. Chip
Hey,
says
Bo.
your Hufflepuff.
Tell them it's the wrong show.
But to go off what Ryan said, I think I would lean towards the light side in Jedi because I am here to fight your rankings, your evil rankings. So I'm here to battle the dark side. And that's my purpose in life.
Is that the premise? Is that you're like just to try to dethrone me? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
Well, we all fight losing battles, Bo, so it's fine.
But I never lose.
Oh, that's a shock. Greg, light or dark?
So, while you guys were doing that, I went on BuzzFeed and did a "Are you more Sith or Jedi?" quiz.
I love it.
Just because I was curious. And according to my results, I'm 50% dark side.
Oh.
So you're 50%.
So you're 50% light.
I'm 50-50 apparently. Yeah. So that's surprising because I would probably consider myself Jedi just because of the fact that I very rarely get angry or.
Not when it comes with dealing with me.
I will say I've probably only been mad at you once in my life, like mad, and you deserved it. So at least it was reasonable. So yeah. But in terms of like mad, I very rarely get angry. So that's why I probably lean more towards the light side than anything. Because I feel like there is something in me, but like I just don't have I never have like that catalyst to like get angry or have it come out in any way. So.
Don't have the will of the Sith.
I do not.
Unless you put pickles in front of Greg.
I didn't even get mad. I was just disgusted. Yeah.
400 says he wants to be Sith, but he has to be opposite of Austin, so he guesses he's a Jedi also.
Again, you fight these losing battles. It's fine. Like I understand the tenacity. You will fall. It's fine. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the top 10 showdown of the evening. Go grab a beer, use the restroom. Stay tuned.
Let's dive right into sports, as I have strong opinions on that. Which college team could beat a professional team in the same sport right now?
Okay.
There is not a single answer that is better than the LSU Tigers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals.
Even if I know the pitch that's coming, every other part of me is still normal.
That's why it's frustrating for me, Greg.
It's like okay, if I know what something is coming, I know ahead of time, I still have to be able to do the action to get the result that I need.
Okay, so they won 3 games in 10 years with 3 rebuilds.
I don't lose at arguments.
Especially about fast food, so yeah.
You will never walk alone. Guess what? Now you will. Coronavirus.
I barely touch my girlfriend's cat. The most I'd be willing to do is like just kind of put my finger on its forehead and just like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us is Alex Kazor from Steelers Depot.
We are live with Ryan Smith, professional cornhole player in the ACL. Ryan,
what all franchises were you able to work with in the NHL?
With Phoenix, Carolina, and Detroit.
So here is Moorhead's ranking. Moorhead is my cousin. He is the rank king.
Higher
Top 10 extra Power Rangers.
Oh.
Okay.
This is the top 10 emo songs of the 2000s.
There's only one correct answer for number 1. Why is F is for Family better than Futurama when Futurama is like Star Wars for potheads? Like
I know. So I think
we have one or two that are mad in the chat.
You're welcome for that.
Okay, we're gonna get banned.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The force is strong with us indeed on this top 10 ranking. I'm very, very excited because these are the top 10 Star Wars characters. Obviously, Ryan and I's opinions, I feel, are going to differ variantly, I think, depending. I mean, he is the Star Wars nerd. I am the Star Wars person trying to be a Star Wars nerd. So obviously, things are going to come about, but I'm interested to see his tactics as to where he goes here. Ryan, just so you know, it will start off, you will go 10. I will do my 10. You will do your 9. I will do my 9, and we will domino effect back from there. They will be put on social media for those to vote as to who knows more.
And according to Grind Project, Ryan already won.
Yeah, of course. Shut up.
So we don't even have to do it.
Because I don't have facial hair.
Thanks for having me.
So let's not waste any time. Let's start off the top 10 Star Wars characters. Ryan, your number 10.
All right, yeah, I think me and you are going to have a very similar list. I think some of these characters you might not have in there, just based on what we were talking before this started tonight. But I'm going to go number 10. I'm going to go with Grogu, Baby Yoda.
Ooh.
So I'm putting him at 10 because we don't see much of him so far. Most of the time he's a baby not doing anything. The stuff that we see him using the Force is sick. He introduced Force healing actually before Rise of Skywalker in that one episode of Mandalorian where he heals Carl Weathers' character's name, Grieve Kargas or whatever his name.
Yeah.
I forget it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he's one who introduced Force healing before Rise of Skywalker, like that same week. He's gonna be sick whenever he's fully developed and stuff. So I'd put him at 10 because we don't really see him a lot yet, but because of what he can become, I wanted to include him at number 10. Plus, everyone who doesn't like Star Wars got into it because it's a cute little baby that they sold a bunch of toys for, which I have a bunch of Baby Yoda stuff, so like I don't blame them. But yeah, I had to go with one, he's popular, and two, I think he's going to become something really sick. So this list is going to age very well, in my opinion.
You have to feel for those frog people, though. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, he's trying to eat
like
their
all
baby.
the babies. It's in all the babies.
He's popping all the eggs in. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's hilarious. My number 10 actually is seen throughout most of the Star Wars films. It doesn't really do much. The personality is there. He really doesn't have almost a specific role until maybe the last episode. So I'm going with number 10 is C-3PO. It's there. Like, he is the droid that is the very, I don't know why if I would call it bipolar, but he's very like adamant in his reactions to things. He's really not used until Rise of Skywalker, when they find out that he can translate ancient Sith language, and they give him an arc where they have to erase his memory in order for him to understand and bypass protocol. And then there's that whole thing of him looking at everyone. He's like, just taking one last look at my friends. And I was like, dang, that kind of hits. I was like, shit, that's really sad. But other than that, he's just the robot that's kind of there. But if you got to have another one on this list, he's got to be there, just for the hijink antics, so to speak, that go along. Aside the lightsaber fights and all the seriousness, C-3PO definitely brings the better comedy of one that will never be mentioned on this list, in one Jar Jar Binks. So,
Spoiler alert! I thought he was number 1.
Shut up.
He's your favorite character. I remember that.
He's not.
I remember that from the last episode.
This is like Nickelback being the best metal band. Shut up. It's not real.
That was incredible, by the way.
Then we go to number 9.
Me again? Back to me?
Yep.
All right. So my number 9 is Jar Jar Binks. I'm just kidding.
Incredible.
I wish you would have.
I know, I wish too. I would have picked his dad, George Binks. Look at the comics. His dad's name is George. It's great. No, but my number 9 is Din Djarin, aka the Mandalorian. I just put Grogu and him 10-9. It's pretty much the same thing I'm saying as Grogu. I think he's gonna end up being like way better than he is already. So I had to include him on the list, but I wanted to keep him lower because we haven't really seen all of him yet. I think just the opening scene in Mandalorian season 1 with the I could bring you in warm, I could bring you in cold. It just shows how big of a badass he is, and now he has a dark saber on him. They got the new starship they have, that which Anakin flew in Phantom Menace. I think the next season of Mandalorian is gonna be sick. I think he's gonna get even better after this list. But I just think between him and Grogu, they brought in so many fans. Like I mentioned when we talked Mandalorian, that maybe never were fans of Star Wars, so I had to put him on the list too. So he's number 9.
100% understand. This one's going to be really tough for some people to swallow. It's my honest opinion. Number 9 is Luke for me, and I know. It's just, listen. When we meet him, he is one of the most teenage angst little boys I think I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. Like, all my friends are going out to join the rebellion. Why can't I? Like, this is stupid. I want to get off this rock. Like, such teenage angst kind of shit. Now, granted, the character development of him into, like, one of the greatest Jedi of all time is there. It's very much there. But it almost, to me, feels like it was condensed. Like, when it comes to Jedi training, numerous Jedi go through multitude of years of training in order to perfect themselves. And Luke somehow did it in, like, I don't know, I forget what the time frame was between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But it feels like there's this giant gap of character development that we're missing from Luke's character. And it almost feels like teenage angst, Jedi Master. There's no in between for me, which is
in fairness, he is the son of the chosen one, so maybe it just kind of fit him naturally, The
midichlorians, freaking George Lucas, dumbass. Listen, I know that Luke is a big character to most people.
To everybody.
Me, I know, but to me, it's strange. It's strange because I want to put him higher, but there's that just. It's like when we see with like Rey, how she's able to progress so fast with very little training. It's the same plot that bothers me because we don't see, aside from like the training with Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, we don't see training from Luke at all. And maybe if they showed me that, I would be able to understand why Luke should be higher. But for me, I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but he's number 9 for me.
I'm not going to comment because, spoiler, it's definitely higher on my list. So I'll hold all my pro Luke stuff for later because I definitely have a lot.
I got you. Well, then let's not waste any time. Let's give me your number 8.
All right, number 8. I think the same thing you just said about Luke. Why I think people are going to hate how he's this low. For me, there's so many good characters in Star Wars that he has to be on the list anyways. So I count everyone on this list as a dub. Like they're high enough for me. But I'm going to go Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is really good in the Clone Wars, the animated shows. Obviously, with Alec Guinness in the original trilogy is like the old wise hermit. That's a great role. Him as a Force Ghost. Even though Alec Guinness hated playing Obi-Wan, he did a great job in the 3 movies he did playing Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor is amazing in the show, and plus all he's the best part about the prequels. He is absolutely the best part about the prequels as a whole. I'm not considering him being 8 being like a jab at Obi-Wan. I'm more considering that he's on the list, and I really like him. And I don't know, even like the Clone Wars thing we mentioned earlier, Duchess Satine, seeing that he was not just like this perfect Jedi guy. He had his faults. He had his love interests. He almost left the Jedi Order. I thought he's a great character. He still is a great character. Hopefully we see more of him. I just didn't put him above the other 7 I have. I think the 7 above him are just, I like a little bit better.
It's interesting. I like it. I'm curious to see, and again, spoiler alert, because he will show up somewhere on this list. So I'm not going to get into it too much there. My number 8 is going to be a very interesting one. I'm going with Emperor Palpatine for number 8.
This guy looks like he's from Halloween Town.
You broke Austin.
I was just saying for the picture.
From a person that's never seen Star Wars comparing one of the most powerful people in the universe to a person that rides a broomstick. God damn you, Vo. I love it.
Hey, Calabar was an evil dude. Don't you mess with that. Calabar was an evil dude, man.
Palpatine for me is interesting because, you know, we don't see him at all until, I would say in person, we don't see him at all until episode 6. But we know in episode 5 that he is this all-time ruler, that he's somehow light years ahead of power, ahead of Darth Vader. And all we see is his hologram originally, and then he shows up in episode 6. And I was like, okay, this dude literally has no lightsaber. How can he be? And dude has force lightning. I mean, he's literally, it's a tactic learned by the Sith that takes years, how many years of training. And then we drag back to the prequels of how he hid amongst a wolf among sheep's clothing, if you will, and progressed himself further into the Senate of Power, that he becomes this all-time shadow that is making all these moves, and the Jedi don't realize it. And Ryan, I know you'll know this. Why weren't they able to sense the power that revolves around the Sith and of Palpatine? The Jedi Temple was originally built on a Sith crystal, a Sith holocron. So the energy is still there, which hides Palpatine's inability. I know for a long time I was like, the Jedi can't be this stupid. Like, they see places that are pieces that are being moved, but because of that mist of unknown from that Sith holocron, it's very, very hard to detect Palpatine until the last moment. And again, like, it's very easy to put 2 and 2 together when you watch the original trilogy and then watch the prequels. Ooh, the clone troopers kind of look like the stormtroopers, and Palpatine, his voice at times, we definitely knew by episode 3 that he was the Emperor. Just by the way, after Count Dooku's, good, kill him.
Chip says that's the ugly dude.
That's the, yes.
That is the ugly
That's
dude.
the ugly dude, Chip. It is just interesting. I don't want to get into the shitstorm that was the Rise of Skywalker and how they handled his character. Sith cloning chambers and all that. It's just garbage. They did whatever they could to save that franchise, because The Last Jedi was the travesty. It was awful. It was the worst Star Wars film I've ever seen. So bringing back Palpatine was the only way how to do it, but I digress. The ability to hide and manipulate and force his way into power to make these decisions and turn on the Jedi, activate Order 66, get the clones on his side to become the Empire. It all adds to it. I mean, the dude's an absolute monster.
If I didn't go with my fan favorites at 9 and 10 with Din Djarin and Grogu, he was gonna be in there. But what held me back was really the Rise of Skywalker, like you're saying.
I tried. I shouldn't like digress all the stuff that happened, but that's not his fault. That's the writers, and like, so I put that all into perspective. So
I agree with that. I mean, just the line from Poe Dameron saying somehow Palpatine returned, and you find out he came back because of Fortnite. It sucks. But no, Palpatine's a great villain. I agree with that. I just went Grogu instead of him. So my 7, right?
Yep, you're 7.
All right, my 7. I'm sticking with the Sith. I'm gonna go with Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul is a sweet character in Phantom Menace. Bray Park is a great. He does. He's in X-Men movies too. He's that Toad guy. But he was great in Phantom Menace. You know, he barely spoke. That lightsaber battle we talked about earlier alone was the reason he's good. But then you get into the Clone Wars and they bring him back, and he starts all these crime syndicates, and he has his brother Savage oppressed with him, and he just becomes even sweeter from the show. And in Solo, which I hated Solo, the movie Solo, but just the reveal that he's in charge of Crimson Dawn at the very end is sick. I think he's a great character, obviously from the fight scene, like I said, of Phantom Menace, but the animated shows really, really develop his character a lot. And I think you said it earlier, we'd love to see another show about the Maul, like his origin or something. And I would love that too, because I think you have a lot more you can still do with that character. So.
Yeah, it is very interesting how they can take a character that rarely spoke a line in the first movie and give him some of the greatest character development of all time. His tenacity towards Kenobi, the ability to conjuncture all of these syndicates, like you said, his taking on his brother as his apprentice, to where both of them fight Palpatine is a great scene.
Mhm.
And just the overall, like, I don't want to call it PTSD, but I think that's the right term for it. When Savage finds him and he's essentially like half Maul, half robotic spider made of garbage, and he's just like this, like almost like he's lost his mind because he just has been cast out into the unknown, and from being like very vulnerable to the darn it, the witch sisters. What are they? What are
The Dathomir, what are they called? The Night Sisters.
The Night Sisters. Thank you.
Yep.
And you know, for people that have played the Fallen Order, that's the first mission you need to do, because you automatically go to Dathomir and you get the double-bladed lightsaber, which is incredible. You can make a double purple-bladed, which is what I always use. It's just dope. My number 7 is everyone's favorite scoundrel. Number 7 for me is Han Solo. Harrison Ford killed this role, like 100%. It's almost to a point where, like, is it Han Solo or is it Indiana Jones? And for me, it's Han Solo, although I do appreciate the Indiana Jones films. The character development of him being this mercenary, take for hire, trying to pay off Jabba, to this galactic hero that, you know, that makes fun of and eventually falls for Princess Leia. Like, it is a wonderful story. And then you get into the later films where he's a father to Ben Solo, who is AKA Kylo Ren, and see all the when it was confirmed that someone was dying in the first like movie, I was like, oh shit, don't let it be Han. And it was Han. I was like, no, spoiler alert, just for those watching. But yes, as his relationship with Luke, with Leia, with Chewie, even with C-3PO, the banter between them going back and forth, it's absolutely hilarious. Never tell me the odds. Like, it's just, and then you have the instance of who shot first, of Han or Greedo.
Han shot first.
Yes, it's hilarious that happened. I know that he is a lot higher on people's lists. For me, the Solo movie kind of killed it for me, and I know that's not Harrison Ford's fault. That's, you know, the writing direction and what they wanted, and having him meet up with Chewie for the first time. It felt like it was supposed to be essentially like a space bounty hunter, space pirate movie, and it just fell flat for me. I just didn't feel anything from it. So he would be higher on this list had Solo not come into effect.
Yeah. Do you have the comments up, Austin?
I am looking currently. I think this is Solo. Get it.
I don't think he gets it.
Ryan, move on to number 6.
It's really easy because my number 6 is Han Solo as well.
There you go.
He's being serious too.
Yeah, my number 6 is Han Solo. Everything you just said, I'm not going to just repeat everything you just said. But I do have to mention one of my favorite lines in Star Wars, which my fiance ended up giving me a couple years ago, a bracelet with it, is I love you, I know. And she has her I love you bracelet, and I have that, you know? It's one of the coolest things I have, but it's like literally one of the coolest like lines, which it was totally improv by Harrison Ford.
Yep.
He was supposed to say something else or nothing at all. And he just threw the little head nod, I know. And that was one of the coolest, like, most badass parts.
It's always the best things when it's improv, man. Like, you know that it's great.
I also love Force Awakens real quick. I also love in Force Awakens whenever Finn and Rey, I hate the sequels, but I really like Force Awakens. They first meet Han. I think Finn goes, "You're that war General Solo," and then Rey's like, "No, that's a famous smuggler Han Solo." Like he's known as his many different hats. And he's so cool. He's just like the definition of like the cool guy.
This is the Millennium Falcon that made it in 10 parsecs.
Yeah.
12. My number 6 for me is Han's right hand man. Is Chewbacca. I love.
Real quick. That's my number 5. We're just doing the same thing. So let's just put a tag team this.
I love it. Just shows that great minds think alike. So it's very different in the end, very similar to this. I enjoy it. Chewie for me embodies all of the lightheartedness that Han doesn't have. And when you have these animalistic characters that don't speak, I would say like in the English language, because there's multitude of space languages that exist in the Star Wars realm, and that Han understands him, and then he was like, no, you can't have that. And he's just like, how do you know what he's saying? And one of my favorite lines is actually from Force Awakens, where he's like, that thing can understand you. He's like, that thing can understand you too, so watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Chewie, he's just like, he's the embodiment of like, I don't want to say pet because that may come off as a bad term, but like, he's everything that you would want in a companion, but also furry. I don't even know how to describe it.
No, he's literally
companion.
man's best friend.
Exactly.
He's literally man's best friend. Yeah.
So, and the bowcaster is always sweet. It's just
it's so badass.
the Force Awakens that I enjoy. Another scene where they're fighting, and Han's like, "Hey, can I see that?" And he takes the bowcaster and he fires. Like, oh, I could get used to this. It's like, why weren't you using it before? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, great.
But and we go into Ryan's number 5, which is Chewbacca. I love that they're so similar. I love this.
Yeah. So I'm actually using this as a prop up to get my camera even, but it is a Chewbacca pillow I have.
Aww.
He's my favorite character because of the fact that he doesn't speak really. He just makes noises. And he just does like badass things and threatens to rip people's arms out of their sockets. And I was very disappointed with how him and Han became friends in Solo. It's just the fact that Han went while he's getting attacked by him. It's like, oh yeah, we're cool now. You know my language. That was so stupid. But I just love everything else about Chewbacca. Spoiler for Rise of Skywalker, which is a trash movie anyways. Whenever it made it seem like he blew up with the Force lightning from Rey, I almost got up and left the theater. I was with my buddy, and he was like, me looked, he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Because he knows how much I love Chewie. And I also love how he got the medal at the end of Rise of Skywalker. The only good thing about that movie is he
finally gets his medal.
Finally gets the medal. Biggest snub of Star Wars history was him not getting the medal, but I digress. Yeah, Chewbacca's the man. So he's my favorite character, but I didn't want to be completely biased and put him number 1 here. Because I don't think he's the best character by any means. He's my favorite. Yeah, I was him for Halloween one year.
Yeah,
I tossed on a whole outfit, and then my buddy dressed like Han Solo, and it was sick.
And his future mother-in-law bought him a Chewbacca Christmas ornament.
She did. She always buys me Star Wars stuff, and she got me a Yoda one.
Shout out to Janet. Yeah.
Yeah. She bought me a lot of Star Wars stuff. Ever since she found out like Star Wars, she's loads up me with Star Wars stuff. I love it.
Isn't that the greatest thing? Is that when you find a hobby and they just flood you with it? It's amazing. My number 5 is going to be Yoda, the master of talking backwards. It's always the running joke is, hey, why is episode 4, 5, 6 ahead of 1, 2, and 3? He's like, in charge of planning, I was.
That's the best.
You know, Austin, the older you get, the more you look like Yoda.
I'll take that. I'll take it as when he was his powerful self and not his basically, which when we see him in episode 5, I'm like, what the heck is this thing? Like, it's running through garbage, like running around like, what's wrong with this thing? But we find out like there's nothing cooler than probably the saving grace of Attack of the Clones, which again, not a 100% a piece of movie, but having Yoda draw that saber and jump all over the place, being an old man, is probably one of the coolest things I saw. Because I was like, oh no, Obi-Wan and like Anakin can't handle him, and here comes this old little like green man. He's just like, face you I will, and just jumps all over the place. The traditional Yoda scream, which we get a lot in memes in the Lego Star Wars original game. It's just absolutely hysterical. I love it. the Jedi Council has their flaws and not being able to sense dark side, but Yoda being one of the ones to survive and the way he did on Kashyyyk, and then facing off against Sidious and having the gall to be like, I was defeated, now I have to excommunicate myself to be better, was dope to see. I was like, that's such humility that everyone else would be like, oh man, he be beaten now. Like, and he was just like, no, train, I must go back. And it's just a wonderful iteration. I love that they kind of CGI'd because the puppet in episode 1 was just, it was atrocious. It was worse. It's not worse than the Emperor hologram first take, because that was awful. It was awful.
Hey, Austin, you ever hear the song Seagulls by Yoda?
No, I haven't.
Might have to look that one up.
I have to look that one up. Okay.
I've never heard it either, but Foreigner asked that.
Okay. I'm feeling it's just Yoda noises. Places seagulls.
I have that feeling too.
But Yoda is my number 5. And now it is your turn, Ryan.
Guess what? Yoda's my number 4.
Oh my
I can't. You can't make this up. When you said Yoda, I was just, I'm mind blown right now.
This is not planned, by the way. Like, this is
definitely not.
No, we never plan stuff.
Yeah, no. Yoda is amazing. I have a bunch of Yoda gear too. He's one of my favorites. I love the whole. When you're mentioning Empire Strikes Back, you find him. He's a goofy and everything like that, and he's just literally trying to like test Luke and see his patience and everything like that. Then he becomes this big. He turns into this like wise like master Jedi, which is great. Seeing him fight, like you said in episode 2, is great. But yeah, I mean, you said pretty much everything I said for Yoda, so you're taking all my talking points.
Hey, I'm not trying to. I wanted that to
I know. I know. I want to keep repeating everything you said, so I'm just going to say my number 4 is Yoda. He's a beast.
The cool thing I will say is that when Luke tried to lift the X-Wing out of the swamp with both hands and couldn't do it, and then Yoda literally with ease just kind of lifts it up, and we see that transpire into The Rise of Skywalker when Rey couldn't lift it up, and then Luke lifts the X-Wing up, and that's one of the gracious moments of that film. It is, again, still an atrocity, but it was wonderful to see. My number 4 is none other than herself. This is Princess Leia for me at number 4. The story of Leia, and we see a little bit in when she was younger in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, how she was like this little tenacious, not wanting to abide by anybody else's rules, like didn't want to be a princess, wanted to be like a galactic scavenger or something, just travel the universe. She always felt trapped. And when we finally see her in episode 4 in A New Hope, you know, she's mostly prisoner, but she turns into this like badass throughout the whole film, everyone not knowing what to do. She shoots a hole into the garbage chute, finds ways to get around, and then the romantic angle between her and Han is always it's a delight to see. I love it. Her and Han's bickering back and forth is some of the best like eventual romantic dialogue I'll ever hear. And then we get into the laters, which it's again the later movies. You know, when we find out that she, which was weird. I was 100% honest when it was weird in The Last Jedi when we found out that she was force sensitive, which we never knew. She somehow pulls her way out of the space into the ship, and then we find out in I believe it's the end of The Last Jedi. Correct me if I'm wrong or not. But when we find out that Luke actually trained Leia to be a Jedi, and again, that might be Rise of Skywalker. I don't know, but like
they showed the montage of them training in Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember if they had mentioned that she was training with Luke or not at the end of Last Jedi. I forget.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking of is probably Rise of Skywalker then, but it was dope to see that like that's how she was able to do it, because when I originally saw it, I said, what the shit is this? What are we doing? Like now she somehow could pull herself out, and it was explained later, and again, bad explanation, but still that like Luke at one point was training Leia to be a Jedi, and Leia was succeeding, but she took up that role to be the general of the Resistance, and gave her like
the chosen one.
Also daughter of the chosen one. Thank you, Greg. So I appreciate that. So, but it was just weird because this character that we saw in episodes 4, 5, and 6, we never would imagine had one point trained with lightsaber training and had force powers, but the overall character is just iconic because, first of all, we all thought this was hillbilly Alabama of there being only one woman in the galaxy, and in the first 3 films, and then we find out obviously there's more women in the galaxy. It's just always a funny thing to one of my favorite things, Family Guy with their Star Wars ripoffs. They had Herbert play Obi-Wan. He was like, "Who is it?" He was like, "Who do you think it is? Who's the only goddamn woman in the galaxy?" Which, at this point, it's understandable. And they would have like another woman come in, it's like, "Oh yeah, it's the second woman," and she's like, "I don't like her," like automatically from the start. But Leia, she's just a wonderful character. Still holds on to the hearts and everything of Star Wars fans. Just a wonderful, wonderful character to say the least. That's why she's my number 4.
Yeah, Leia didn't make my list. I think she should be on a top 10 list. Like I said, it's kind of tough for my last 2 picks are fan favorite bias picks. But I think I agree with everything you said. I think Leia's great. Carrie Fisher does a great job like playing her, and I also agree in Last Jedi. I called it her Mary Poppins through the space. That was so dumb. That was the worst looking thing ever. Like literally, it's like Mary Poppins and back to the ship. But yeah, R.I.P. Carrie Fisher. She's great. And that's another thing that sucked too is her death in Rise of Skywalker, and like her whole being in Rise of Skywalker was just tough. Obviously, Carrie Fisher died before she filmed anything, so they like recycled quotes and old footage to make like the movie happen, but it just felt so weird and like robotic and didn't seem like her at all. So it was just
I felt out of place. Like
very
it felt out of
unnatural
place.
too. But she's great. I didn't put her on my list, but I think she deserves to be top 10.
She'd be your number 11.
She would be my number 11.
That's usually what Austin says when he forgets somebody.
Yeah, she'd be my number 11. There we go.
Perfect. Now we're on the top 3.
Top 3.
All right. So my number 3, I'm sticking to the women get it done type theme here. I'm going to Ahsoka Tano. I think she's the best character from all the animated shows. Obviously, she's like the main character of the Clone Wars. She's Dave Filoni's like number 1 character he made and really developed throughout the Clone Wars and Rebels when she's Volcrum, which I think you mentioned earlier when you mentioned Rebels, Austin. She was great in both those shows. She was great in The Mandalorian, that episode she came in, and she's going to be great in her own show. Rosie Dawson's playing her. She's did a great job in Mandalorian. She's going to continue to do a great job. Her arc is great. I love how she's not a true Jedi anymore because the whole bombing at the Jedi Temple story arc in Clone Wars. She's now a gray Jedi with the white lightsabers. She's a badass fighter who has dual wielding lightsabers, which is sweet. She's the chosen one's Padawan, and so she learned from literally the best, and basically grand Padawan of Obi-Wan. So it's like a nice little coaching tree. I always call the masters like the coaching trees. And
that makes sense.
She's in a great coaching tree. That she's just badass, and I can't wait to see her more live action because
the Bill Belichick of the Star Wars coaching.
Oh yeah, this is the Belichick tree.
Oh my god.
My number 3 goes out to the little robot that made me love Star Wars. Number 3 is R2-D2 for me. Mm-hmm. When people think pop culture with Star Wars, it is. I'll go with this in terms of Harry Potter thing of he shall not be named because he's going to come later, and R2-D2. Those are the 2 that always pop into the heads of fans. R2, a seemingly almost this like childlike attitude in a robot, which is amazing because, you know, when you grow up, you think that robots they're not supposed to, iRobot, not supposed to have emotions. Will Smith learned the hard way in that one. But you see almost this like wonderful, playful side to the almost, not, I don't want to say narcissistic, but very like kind of egotistic of C-3PO, and they clash, and it is a wonderful chemistry that they have. And to see, I'll tell you this, in episode 3, when he was facing off against those 2 super battle droids and lit them all with oil and then put his rockets out, I stood up and I said, "You go, R2, you go. You're not just something that opens doors, you can kick ass too." It was very heartwarming for me to see that. He's there. I mean, he has been there from the very beginning of Star Wars, and nothing was harder than me watching in episode 3 when Anakin tells R2 to stay with the ship on Mustafar. And that's the last time that R2 sees Anakin.
Yeah.
It's almost like leaving your dog and saying that you'll be back and you don't come back. Like that really affected me pretty hard, especially when Vader would come across R2 and it just wasn't the same. Like it really wasn't the same. So that emotional effect has me put with that R2 at number 3.
Yeah, no, R2, I might need to think about it, but I think he's one of him and C-3PO maybe are the only characters making it through all 9 movies.
I think, yeah, because I think even they were at the end of Rogue One, I think, when the plans got delivered. So I think they're the only 2 that have made it through every single.
Solo's the only one not. They're not in Solo, but I think in the mainline movies, they were in Rogue One. They're outside the Yavin Temple base as they go off their mission, both of them. But R2, I didn't like C-3PO at number 10. I really like R2-D2. I don't like C-3PO. That's why I don't like him. But R2 is a perfect explanation for him. Like you said, he's like a dog. He's like a smarter dog who really does a lot more, like giving Luke the lightsaber on Jabba's palace, on the barge, and all that stuff. He's like a dog who does more than dogs do. I like R2. He's on my list.
Dogs learn new tricks, so
yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, R2's not on my list, but my number 2, I told you I was gonna come back to it. You have him criminally low. I got to go Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is the original main character. You can say everything's about Anakin because he's the chosen one and all Darth Vader and stuff. But Luke Skywalker is the original main character of the first 3 movies. He's a great story of being a farm kid, thinking he wants to go pick up parts at Toshi Station, and then he gets thrown into this life of space wizardry. His aunt and uncle raised him, got burnt alive right in front of his face, and he just said, "All right, this is my life now. I got to keep rolling with it." The training on Dagobah, I think it wasn't as much as years and years in Jedi Temple, but I think people also don't realize how long it is. It's not just a couple of days; it's like several weeks he's there.
Yeah,
the timeline just doesn't show you because it's a movie and they want to compact it all. I think he's the. When I mentioned off the top, I watched Star Wars when I was home from school all the time, and it's kind of like this, but like I'm blonde, so the main character is blonde, and I'm like, hey, I like him. I can see myself like him. I want to be like him. He's the man. He has a great arc too, with his arm getting cut off. His father is his villain. All this stuff. He's the lowest point of his life. Next movie, he comes back, frees his friends, and becomes a total badass. I also like a lot in the sequels. I hate the sequels. I like Luke's arc in the sequels. I know a lot of people don't, but basically his nephew not failing him, but he fails his nephew. He goes to his life of exile like Yoda did, but he didn't quite do the same as Yoda. He becomes a curmudgeon. He doesn't want to tune the Force anything. Rey opened his eyes, got him back into the Force, and he comes back. He's a hero at the end of Last Jedi, and a great cameo in Rise of Skywalker. Luke is my favorite character, probably. It's him and Chewbacca, 1A, 1B. And like I said, he's the original main character. He's the original badass. So I had to go with Luke.
I understand. And
he almost brought Vader back to the light side, which he eventually did. Did. Obi-Wan couldn't, Ahsoka couldn't. No one could except for his own son. And also Mandalorian, I said, that's a badass scene with Luke coming in and saving the day.
True. My number 2 is, we're going to talk about criminally low. My number 2 is one that you have criminally low, and you explained why. My number 2 is Obi-Wan Kenobi. listen, you can joke about it being Ewan McGregor, but it's Obi-Wan's arc normally was amazing, and then I watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it unlocked so much more to the character that, you know, whatever happened to him when he became Ben and just trying to do about his thing, he was hiding, he was, you know, afraid, something that we've never seen Obi-Wan before. I mean, he's been in tough situations, but he's never felt fear, like, which is one of my the great points about that show was when he saw Vader, when he saw Anakin as Vader, it unlocked fright that I've never seen before out of Obi-Wan. And just with him, like his love interest, the conflict with Maul and Clone Wars, the relationship bending, tearing, whatever you want to call it, with Anakin was amazing. And then coming back in episode 4 as this old man fighting Vader is probably, now what I know, it's satisfying because he knew that he wasn't going to survive that. So he eventually gave himself to rise up into the Force and become one with the Force entirely. And it's just that I love characters that have this almost roller coaster kind of scenario with how they're going in their life. And Obi-Wan, after Kenobi, holy shit, definitely has the second most roller coaster experience in the entire Star Wars saga.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I mean, I had Obi-Wan at 8, but like I think I mentioned him there. It's not a slight at him. I still think he's an amazing character, and I think you nailed hit the nail on the head with that one.
I feel like we both have this as our one.
Yeah, I think you guys should say your one is at the same time.
I was a figure that too.
You want to count down?
Count down.
Yeah.
Right. 3, 2, 1.
Anakin / Darth Vader. Yep.
Anakin / Darth Vader. Has to be. Has to be.
The picture I have that I found was amazing because it's just a shot of Anakin and you have the right side of his face like photoshopped into Vader, and it's just so cool. Like seeing now the kid version sucked. The kid version of Anakin was terrible. It was awful. And then Attack of the Clones is the only thing I got from that he didn't like sand. That's the only thing I didn't get from that. It's coarse, it's rough, and I don't like it. And that he can slaughter Tusken Raiders without ease. But it's not until episode 3 that Hayden Christensen really like divulges into this manic character of unprecedented talent. And we see that when, you know, a lot of people that hated on the prequels, when they saw the last 3 films, all they wanted was for Hayden to come back. And that says something about the franchise.
Yeah, and it wasn't Hayden that was bad about it. It was the writing of the prequels. Of
course, yeah.
George Lucas is a great mind, but he can't write for shit and can't direct. But his mind, all of his ideas are great. Anakin, Hayden Christensen did what he had to with his character, with like what is written. And what really gave me hope about Hayden Christensen coming back for Obi-Wan is that I heard he watched the Clone Wars and watched that Anakin to kind of get prepped in the role, which I thought was a great move by him because he knows how to be Anakin. He's a great Anakin. He just didn't have good writing. So you look at good writing with that same character, then you know how to do it. And I think, like Greg was saying the entire time, he's the chosen one. He's the chosen one. He did fulfill his destiny. He did take out Palpatine. Took him a couple years of slaughtering random kids in the streets, like you mentioned earlier, but eventually did. But yeah, no, he's the perfect arc, perfect villain too. When he's not Anakin, we keep talking about Anakin. When he's Vader, he's the most badass villain ever, and you know it's a really good villain whenever people like him. Like if the villain is someone people like, it's a good villain. I don't know if you guys like Game of Thrones. I love Cersei because she was such a great villain, but but like you shouldn't like her because she's a villain. I just liked her because she's sweet. That's Vader. Vader will always be one of the coolest badass villains.
We use this term a lot in terms of wrestling, when if a heel can make a crowd pop, that heel deserves love. And there have been multitudes. You can talk about Roman Reigns now with the amount of heat that he gets.
He's at the corporate Reigns now, or whatever it is.
Corporate Reigns, yeah. So, I mean, Anakin was badass. Vader is an unstoppable killing machine that still has that like feeling of what could come next, and it's the perfect. When we talk about the top villains, there is no question that Darth Vader is number one across the board. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's it. We will put these on social media. You know what is weird, Greg? He's not by the gavel, so he'll have to go and get the gavel.
Or just pretend to,
no pretending
like
here,
me.
Greg. We're kings. We're not false kings. You should know this.
Well, you're the king, technically.
I go
just
get the gavel, let Ryan have some words.
Yeah, Ryan.
Anything you want to talk about, Ryan?
Talk about podcast, what you do. Like, I'm very excited to hear what you got in store for you, buddy.
Absolutely. So, I think I mentioned a few times throughout this whole show, I do have my own podcast. Me and my buddy Guy, which is always funny to say, my buddy Guy. His real name's Steve, but we call him Guy. We met in college. He's in my fraternity. After many nights drunk at parties, debating Star Wars, Marvel, DC, as well as like sports. Like, we're nerds for everything, including sports. We're big sports nerds too. So after years of arguing drunk at parties, we decided we should put a microphone in front of our mouths when we do it. So we are I think we're about to record episode 148 tomorrow. We're going on for a while. It's called Talking Dirty, presented by Derry J Sports. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have these koozies, and this nice little koozie. You can't see to my background, but it's
they are nice koozies.
They're great koozies. It all started. I had a blog for a while there, and then after college, I didn't feel like writing stuff anymore because I finished writing papers all these times. So we switched to podcast form. But yeah, go check it out. We're at Derry J Sports on Twitter and Instagram. We have a TikTok. We're afraid to do TikTok, so we don't really post on there too much. But Instagram and Twitter at Derry J Sports.
Yeah, Vo's our TikTok guy, and whenever we need a TikTok done, Vo does them. So
we don't even ask him. He just suddenly decides to do it.
I randomly do it.
Paramount one was good. I enjoyed the Paramount.
From The Office, that one from The Office was hilarious.
As you guys know, we'll put these on social media. You will vote to see who had the better Star Wars top 10 characters. Did he dethrone the king? Will the king reign supreme? Find out next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. That's what I have to say. Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah,
very chaotic start to this whole day, and we're very thankful that you could jump in and divulge into some Star Wars nerd knowledge for the world to see.
Of course, I'm glad to always be your Star Wars nerd. You're going to call off the bench if you need. So, and then I think you need to come on our podcast too to do a draft, because I like to see how the king does in a draft, in the draft war room.
I've been told I'm pretty good at it, so. But who knows? This is all speculation for the future. I will definitely be in contact. That sounds like a fun time. So, for all those watching, thank you. Grind Project Chip, Mama Whiten, some other people.
You're just randomly trying to remember everyone, though.
Mama Vo, Morgan. Who else?
Morgan, yes.
No Denny in the night. He was busy.
Of course. Word. Thank you to all those that tuned in. As always, we're the RankKing's Court. We are Tuesdays, 6:30 on Twitch. And it's not as big episode of 144. This is episode 87 for us. We are wanting to hit that 100 mark. We're thankful that you were able to be a part of that to make that happen, buddy. So, Ryan, again, thank you. Thank you to our audience. Vo.
This is going to be tough.
There you go. Come on. You gotta drop it.
I gotta hit the computer too.
Everyone, court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.